Hello, Ken. This is my pregame analysis of the upcoming Michigan versus Indiana game. Before I break it down too much, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell down below. I do greatly appreciate it. I think the most apt place to start is you got to hit the reset button. Have to. Things didn't go your way in East Lansing. You lost to your rival in a close one. It's a game that, you probably should have had, quite honestly. Had the lead for the majority of that game, and you let it get away from you. But don't let that turn into 2 losses, which can easily happen. Sorry, I'm getting a new mic stand. This one's not working well. You can't let that loss hangover affect the next game. And every team in the Big Ten, even a team like Indiana, who I believe only has 2 wins on the year, even a struggling team like Indiana will beat you if you do not show up to play. So, yeah, you lost a tough one to your rival, but you got to put it behind you. You have to. Your season's not over yet. Like I said in my post game for the rivalry game, season's not over yet. A lot of things can happen. There's a lot of big games left to be played, and you no longer have control of your future. However, that doesn't mean you're out of it yet. A lot of things can shake out. So you got to put that one behind you immediately, move on to the next one, and take care of business. Because if you don't, Indiana will beat you. It's that simple. They're good enough. Most teams in the Big Ten, I would say any team in the Big Ten, based on some of the wins that Illinois has this year, even Rutgers has won some games here and there. So even at the bottom of the Big Ten, if you don't show up, if you let that loss on a big one, it's a tough one, guaranteed it's going to linger for a little bit, but you got to quickly put it behind you and start your prep for Indiana, because any team in the Big Ten can beat you if you don't show up to play. It's that simple. Thankfully, we get them at home. That'll help. We do get them at home, so hopefully that will help. I still firmly believe that J.J. McCarthy should be the starting quarterback. I really do. Yes, he had a couple bad fumbles. He's a freshman. It happens. You could argue that he shouldn't have been put into those situations, and I would agree with you. And I have reasons for why that's probably the case, but also it doesn't mean that I don't think he should be the starter. It's easy to point at those 2 plays and be like, oh, yeah, see, that's why he's not the starter. Well, let me ask you this. Had he not been put in those types of situations, had he been the full-time starter, would those fumbles have happened? Maybe, but I would argue maybe not. And why? Because he finds a rhythm. No 2-quarterback system in the history of college football has ever worked as successfully as having 1 starter. It doesn't work. It's been tried many times. Even Michigan tried it in the past. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It is too difficult for a quarterback to find his rhythm and to keep that rhythm when you're constantly pulling him out of the game. I don't like the 2-quarterback system. I've never liked the 2-quarterback system. And I think J.J. McCarthy should be your starter because, quite frankly, Cade McNamara in crunch time can't throw the football to win you a game when you need him to. And also because J.J. McCarthy doesn't limit your offense. You're having to put McCarthy in the game because Cade McNamara can't run the things you want to run. So if that's the case, why is Cade McNamara your starter? Either accept the fact that you have to take those plays out of your playbook and not use them, or J.J. McCarthy has to be your starter. Because again, do those fumbles happen? Maybe not, because right now when you put McCarthy in the game, you're telegraphing what's going to happen. It's going to be RPO, it's going to be read option, and that's about it. That makes things very difficult on the offense when when a simple substitution tells the defense. It really narrows what you're going to run down for the defense. It's a lot less thinking the defense has to do now. So you're not really putting J.J. McCarthy into a situation to be successful in the first place. So that's my rant on it. J.J. McCarthy has the higher ceiling. Maybe you can learn to live with those mistakes if he's also throwing touchdown passes. I'm going to put it simply like this. Can Cade McNamara make that touchdown? Would Cade McNamara make the throw that J.J. McCarthy threw to Andrew Anthony to get that touchdown? So far, the answer has been no, for 2 reasons. One, I don't think Cade McNamara can throw a ball as accurately as that. To throw it at a point where you believe Andrew Anthony can high point it above the defender. Cade McNamara can't. He doesn't have that kind of ball placement on those type of throws. He just doesn't. The other reason is because Cade McNamara doesn't trust his wide receivers in the same way that J.J. McCarthy does. That was 100%. I mean, it was a good throw from J.J. McCarthy. Don't get me wrong, and one I don't think Cade McNamara has shown he can make. But also, there was a trust element. That was J.J. McCarthy saying, okay, you got one-on-one coverage. I trust you. I'm going to put it up there. You go make the play. And that's exactly what happened. When have you seen J.J. McCarthy throw a ball like that? Never? Never? I'm sorry. When have you seen, I think I said J.J. McCarthy. I don't remember now. When have you seen Cade McNamara throw a ball like that? He just doesn't. And even when he does try to throw it out there, it's either severely underthrown, allowing the defender to also try to make a play on it, or it's over the hands of his. I mean, that flea flicker should have been a touchdown. Cade McNamara does not have the accuracy to be your guy. He doesn't have the arm strength to be your guy. You watch those out routes, I would argue that the interception that Cade McNamara threw at the end of that game, J.J. McCarthy would have completed that pass because he can rifle it in that tight window. He's got a stronger arm. He just does. Maybe the defender tips it, but it's definitely going to be a harder interception when it's, ask any corner, is it easier to pick off Chad Pennington or Matthew Stafford? It's going to be much harder to pick off Matthew Stafford because it throws a harder ball. It's just harder for those defenders to reel it in. So, I got lots of reasons why I think J.J. McCarthy should be the guy. I'm not trying to say Cade McNamara is a bad player. That's not what I'm trying to say. He had a really nice game. He did, up until the end. But I like J.J. McCarthy more. He's got the higher ceiling. I think you play him. Especially if you got a run game. I mean, the run game wasn't very effective against Michigan State. But in most games, your run game has been good. So if you've got that to lean on, then why not play the younger quarterback with a higher ceiling? For whatever reason, Harbaugh has an aversion to playing freshmen. I don't know if Andrew Anthony was hurt, but if he wasn't, then why wasn't he out there sooner? He already looks like the #1 wide receiver with the plays he was making. So, I got some serious questions. I've had serious questions about this program and the way that Harbaugh does things. He does some things well. I think Harbaugh is a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I really don't. He's not the guy to take this program to the next level. It's time to cut bait and find the guy that it is. I don't know who that is right now. Maybe I'll run through some coaches and throw some names out there in the coming weeks. We'll see. But yeah, enough ranting. Back to the upcoming game. I do think J.J. McCarthy should be the starter, and if not the starter, put him in for an entire series. Let him play a whole drive and see what he does with it. Right? Like, stop putting him in for 2 or 3 plays and then pulling him back out. It's not doing him any favors. It's not doing Cade McNamara any favors. Stop doing it. It doesn't work. Defensive safeties. If I had to point to something that I want to see improve, tackling. You barely slowed down. I know Kenneth Walker's a great running back, but our safeties, when he broke into that next level, our safeties barely even slowed him down. That was some piss poor attempt at tackling. It's got to be better. I would like to see that improve. I thought our corners played pretty well overall. Gave up some tough plays. There were some really good throws from Thorne to Reed. It's going to happen. They're both good players. But overall, I thought for an entire game, they played pretty well. It was just giving up the run game was brutal. Our defensive tackles got owned in the middle. I was afraid that was going to happen because they've let that happen a few times this year. It just, it was a bad game, and you got to put it behind you. You got to move on to Indiana. Indiana's a team that's struggling right now. Do not give them any sign of life. If you give Michigan or give Indiana any sign of life, then it's going to be even harder for you to win that game. I think they're a team on the brink of giving up on the season. So if you get them down early and keep hammering them, then I think this game gets much, much easier. So that's basically it. Those are my thoughts. A little bit of ranting on the previous game and why we lost. Some things that we should have done better, and we didn't, and that's why we lost. So I I don't really have a lot to say about Indiana that people don't already know, other than the fact that there's still guys here that can make plays. You got Freifogel, right? You got guys. I don't know if Penix will be back or not. But even if he's not, they're still making plays. Like, they're a Big Ten team. It's not like you're going up against a low-end MAC team. So you better put that Michigan State game behind you. You better show up to play, and you better bring it for 4 quarters, because if you don't, that one loss is going to turn into 2 losses. So that's it. Predictions. I should give predictions. I forgot that at the start. How do I feel about this game? I'm gonna predict Michigan by 17. And I think they come out fired up to get a win, but I also think there's a little bit of a hangover. So I'm going to say 17, and I think our running game gets back on track. I'm going to predict over 200 yards rushing on this one and over 3 touchdowns. So those are my predictions. That's all I got on this one. You better put the last one behind you and take care of business. Thankfully, we get them back in the big house where we've generally played better. And, put it behind you and it's on to the next one. That's all I got on this one. Remember, all love, all the time. Peace.